All right. We are, I guess we're live now. Happy Tuesday. I hope everybody had a good weekend. Odds are if you're watching this part of it, you're watching the VOD. People have yet to roll in. So if you're watching the VOD and you haven't already, please hit subscribe. I don't think that counts for most of you. I think we've got something ridiculous, like a 80% of our views are from subscribers, so good job. Let me get, oh my gosh, I apologize. Lunch has just got me super, like, yeah. Apologize for making noises into the mic. Unity going, and, start chopping at my things to do list. And then we'll see how the stream goes. Hey, Bullet Catcher. Yeah, I always forget step 2. Open Unity Hub and then forget to open Unity. Coding Caffeine, hello. Right on, Nicodemus. Hey, Pattis. Hey, Angel. Who did stuff while I was gone? Rabies Ratata, Adamar, Malamber 777, Epic Dose Gaming, Suptarian, Ahoy, Ahoy, Chigande, Bad Street USA, that Jamie fella, Dank Cheez-Its. Those were all follows while I was gone, I believe. Thank you for 16 months, Nicodemus.
Level 16.
All right, well, enjoy whatever it is you're about to do, and maybe we'll see each other later. Cool. Let me check something really fast. What'll be the easiest way to do this? I can just load any data set, I guess. Let me check something in a tool really fast and see if it was added and then documented. Do I use a green screen? Coding Caffeine asked. Nope. I am just sitting here in the multiverse. No, I'm busting balls. Yeah, I use a green screen. It's not a really great setup, to be honest, and my camera's kind of dookie, but it works. I've got an older Logitech like HD 1080p camera that I picked up for like $100 or whatever when I was in Sweden. And then this wall here, I'll show you. It's really not, it's not impressive without the green screen. Actually, I'm kind of... Let me see. Filter. I wanted one of the portable screens as well, but I bought this, like basically I bought the stuff that I'm using now when Rona was popping off. and all of the Elgato stuff, all of the portable green screens, everything was sold out because as soon as Rona kicked off, like everybody started streaming and using them for work and everything else. So if you look in this little window, actually, you can see behind me, there's a window here. There's a rucksack there. Some Peltor hearing protection above the rucksack. Let me see if I can, there you go. You can kind of see. It's just a giant piece of cloth. I got it like a camera store. Old school green screen approach. So it's just tacked up on the wall. I've debated for a while the idea of, you know, having a different camera setup and having it be like, get some shelves or whatever. If I pulled all of my old EQ and other game shit out of storage in Austin, then I could have set it up there and then put up some nice, like, some MnM stuff, that kind of thing. Maybe we'll do that one day, but for now, I like the idea of using as little screen real estate as possible so you can see what's going on behind me. Chaos Flux, I am in Germany. Yep, I live in Bremen, Germany. Yeah, honestly, I mean, I have issues with the screen. Every once in a while, it'll show up depending on certain conditions. I'm using standard room overhead light without like a cover over the bulb, and then I've got one of those big ass LED, like Elgato or whatever LEDs, sort of bouncing off the white ceiling in front of me, and then I've got another little LED lamp. It could probably be improved. Excuse me. So you have a chance to go to Germany, either Ramstein or Spangdahlem. You'd be there for 3 to 4 years if you go. I don't know, how into new stuff are you, Chaos Flux? Are you single? Are you married? I mean, opinions will vary. Married, love travel. Okay, if the two of you love travel, and you've been all over the world, but you haven't been to Germany? Have you been all over the world? Have you been to a lot of Europe? If not, I would say that's a pretty great opportunity then, because you can get to everywhere else from here pretty easy, either by train or quick flight or driving. Germans aren't really, like, my wife thinks a 3 or a 5 hour trip is like a long trip in a vehicle. I'm like, what? 3 hours? That's getting home if you're in Washington, D.C. My commute would take 2 hours. So I take it you're military? Prior, now contractor. Yeah, I mean, I would say it should be a all various uncertainties aside, economically and things like that, because I mean that's pretty much everywhere at this point. I would say that shit aside, and you know, if things get too goofy over here, then you're probably you'll You'll figure it out. I would recommend yes. My dad was never stationed at either of those, and so I hadn't lived there when I was a kid, and I haven't really been. And we travel a lot, but I haven't. I've only been living in Hamburg, which is like an hour and a half from here, and now Bremen. So, Ramstein, Germany. Angel, pretty good. How was your weekend? Rammstein the band. No, Rammstein the place. Dum dum. Show me. Come on. Other people that said hi, Keith, Hell's Ridge. Hello. Seth Rick. Hello. I'm probably missing some folks. Dargith, hello. You've heard pros and cons of both areas. If you've got info, then let her rip. Like, I don't know what the pros and cons would be. Most of the cons I've seen in Germany are pretty minor cons for Americans. We're like, that's no big deal. Where you're at though, so check it out. You've got Luxembourg here that you can take a little day trip, check out. That's pretty. Saarland, in Saarbrücken. I've heard, I know some people from there, and they're like, lots of nature, right? Going over into France, hop up to Belgium. Yeah, I mean, but like larger city life, when they say like Rammstein's larger city life, or, Spang is small city life, scale that down a lot. Like, I've lived in Hamburg, which is a bigger city, and it's not, it just doesn't compare to an American big city, right? It's a well-distributed, like 2 million people. So I would walk around, because one of the things I like to do is grab beers during the day when the weather's good or when the weather's tolerable. Like to grab the dog, grab a beer, and just go for a walk. Drink some beers during the day and walk around, because there's no container law, and so I've walked Hamburg all over. Basically, I've walked every inch of Hamburg in a day, just out with beers. So yeah, the other cool thing about being down in that area, so this area, right? Karlsruhe. Find us again. You have to love a good day drinking. I do. So the other thing to look at is basically all of this part of Germany right here that you're right next to is incredibly gorgeous. It's insanely gorgeous. So I live several hours north. I don't know. I live probably 8 hours north. So Cologne is where Jasmine's family's from. It's like 3.5 hours or something from where we are. I'm up here in Bremen, right? Look how big Bremen looks on a map. So look how big Bremen looks on a map. And I guess this is like the state of Bremen, but then this is Bremen. It's tiny. It's tiny, right? You got to remember that the space we're navigating right here, Germany, is like a state. And so we'll drive from Hamburg down to Cologne, and I think that's like 3.5 hours or whatever. And then vacation, we come down here. Like whenever, every sort of fall or during the summer, if we have an opportunity to take like 10 days and go camping and stuff, we come down to this area that you're going to be near. And it's up here, it's just kind of flat. right? You can kind of see there's not much going on. It's flat. I've been through Brunswick, or I've definitely been past it a bunch. Ahoy, ahoy. Because whenever I see the sign, I point it out to Jasmine, because where I lived in the US, we had like New Brunswick. I lived in Alabama, like southeast Alabama, and so New Brunswick, I forget if that was in Georgia or Florida or what, but anyways, the people are pretty awesome. If you like beer, if you like bread, if you can find a way to get to, you know, integrated with just, you know, community, it's a good time. You'll have the ability to, you can come up here and check out some of this stuff. It's really flat and just kind of like, meh. We bombed the shit out of most of this up here. So like Hamburg, we flattened, and Bremen, we flattened, and all that stuff back in the day. So it's mostly kind of rebuilt. But then you come down here. All of this, basically all this region that you'd be in, is hills and mountains and old castles and towers and ruins. You can go on a hike and just be like, oh shit, there's a random ruin there. Oh, I'm gonna go over, we're gonna now hike over here to this other thing. Oh, it's this ancient ass castle ruins that, you know, it's just like, it's my favorite thing. My childhood was spent down, we lived here in Würzburg, a little village outside of Würzburg for a while, and then we lived in a little village outside of Bad Kreuznach here near the Rhine, where Bingen is, somewhere around here. So kind of in this area, because you would be here. And yeah, it's just amazing. Then you can go down to Switzerland, which is tiny. You can go down to Austria. If you like skiing and skiing and outdoor shit and all of that stuff, it's awesome. Go down to vacation in Croatia during a summer. Gorgeous. Italy's here. Yeah, so. And if you're contracting there, you may even get bounced around a little bit depending on what you do. Who knows? You may get to go down to some of these other places wherever we're potentially doing support or whatever. Because it sounds like for the time being, at least, we're ramping up a bunch of stuff. Unfortunately. Wolfenbeutel? I script them out so much. Wolfenbeutel is close by Jägermeister Brewery in Brunswick. I'd be okay with that. Jasmine's not as big a fan of Jägermeister. Cool. All right. Well, there you go, Chaos Flux. That's my contribution to your discussion. Happy to discuss it with you in more detail via DMs on Discord, or I mean, we can talk about it here. I was just sometimes I feel guilty when I'm not just doing MnM stuff. I feel like my boss is going to get upset with me. It doesn't matter, actually. It doesn't matter. I can use any of these. All MnM all the time. Never stop. I hear you, Dargith. You better do it our way, where it's the highway for you, Mr. Lord. Private Lord, I heard some of these ideas that you've had. All right. You'd like to speak with my manager? Okay, Targus. Hop onto Discord. Track them down. All right, so what I'm looking for right now is I made a note because I thought Ollie had added a new command. And he might have, and maybe it's just not exposed or something. Maybe it exists in code. So on my things to do list, here, I'll show you. I'll show you my preferred approach on it, my things to do list. Not that you care. I break it all down. Everything that comes in winds up being thrown into three categories. So So I can sort priority by these categories now, next, and later. And then I can stack rank them within the category. Hey, Isan. Is there a good metal scene in Germany? That's the real question. One of the primary scenes in Germany is the metal scene. And I'm not joking. They've got like Schlager music. If any of you are in Germany and I'm full of shit, you can correct anything I'm saying. But they've got Schlager music, which is like, I don't know, you just have to look it up. I'm not even going to try to explain it. Echo the Wizard, thank you for the follow. I think you've followed before. Is that not the case? So thank you again. But yeah, so they've got like Schlager music and they've got metal. There's metal festivals. All summer it's like metal festivals. Average people you run into like metal. Old guys driving their cars home from work with the windows rolled down or blasting metal or techno. The metal festivals are different than American metal festivals because people are, for the most part, super respectful and don't start shit and cool. And I know that I'm not speaking for every American metal festival, but I've worked security before and had to deal with metal shows, even as a metal fan, and sometimes it would get a little rowdy. I've never been to Hurricane Festival. My wife has. The only festival I've been to since I've been back as like an adult, I went to festivals with my parents when I was a kid. They were into metal. The only festival, I've been to as an adult, I'm fairly certain it's the only one. We went to, what the hell was it called? Reload Festival this year, and it was really nice. Wacken Open Air Festival, Kramnik, is it's big. A guy I know out of Hamburg actually helped them set up their virtual festival during the Ronas. He does a lot of really interesting projects like that. He's a freelance guy, but okay, so what I was looking for here is to see if we've got the new command in, or essentially it's a end command. No, return to the last command. Go to, pause, that, trigger. These are not alphabetical, but that's okay. Yeah, so it's not in here. I'll have to ask. Let me make a note that I don't see it. Hey, Chess Solo. Doesn't appear in the zone panel. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means maybe the zone panel wasn't updated. So that will be my... I'll move that into, because that was actually in next, but probably shouldn't have been. Move it to the now, and then do that after stream, I guess. All right. Let's hop in the game for some background ambiance. And then Dargeth, for some reason Windrose sounds familiar. If you like music in general, if you're stationed down in that area, I mean, you've always got München or what's München in English again? What is? Jeez. Munich. That's right. Shit. I was like, this is a real obvious one. Oktoberfest. Yeah. So, Munich is to the east, and you can see some stuff there. But like Hamburg and Berlin are just great music scenes. Hamburg's fantastic. Hamburg's like the Austin, Texas of Germany, kinda, with more of a pirate theme. Hey, Obvious. If you're on your way to work, have fun, be safe. Disillusion is a great metal band that got back together a few years ago. Used to play Back to Times of Splendor on repeat when I was playing EQ and WoW. Nice. Oh, great. Isn't great? They're German. Okay, it's a German metal band, but they may even be a great German metal band. Cromlech can clarify. I'll be happy when it's summer again. That'll be nice. Let's see. Once this kicks in, then I will I'll switch the music over from YouTube playing in the background, just using what's in game. Cool. Pause this. Options. That works. No Man Stream, thank you for the follow. And for the sub. That's nice of you. Appreciate it. No Man's Stream, does your name come from streaming No Man's Sky? Hey, Everfest. Nope, had it before? Okay, fair enough. Thought I was going to be clever and figure you out. Apparently. Apparently not. Alright, I want to check two things related to Shifty's bag while we're in here. Chip some things off my list, I guess. Excuse me. Are mounts in the game yet? No, they're not, Sethric. But they will be. DDJ, you think No Man's Stream's real name is Norman and it's just a typo? Very possible. I will let them clarify. Obvious says, dude, carts are going to be huge for the game. I think they'll be fun. I think they'll be useful. But we'll see about that. Alright, so let me look for items in the database. Just a no man like me? I am kind of a no man. You know what? You would think it's fun being the no guy, but it can get tiring. It can get tiring being the guy that says no. I just had to say no on the way into the stream when I was checking our YouTube comments. But I said it politely. I said, nope, but. The question was, are we going to have floating combat tech or floating combat numbers on the screen so that they don't have to look at their chat box? The answer was nope. At least not as a default option. Maybe one day in the future we'll break down and let people do that. Keith, thank you for gifting subs to Seek and Destroy, Man Bear J, Fosslix, It's Zubay, and Mimit Rice. Enjoy your lack of commercials. Shifty. Shifty's a scrap pack. No drop, yes. Unique, yes. Okay, so that shouldn't be an issue. Do I have a VOD explaining the mount mechanic? One thing I loved was Spirit of Wolf and how important it was to travel around. We've probably hit on it a few times. I don't know if there's a clear summary. In a nutshell, we want spells to maintain their value. We understand that even if we don't necessarily believe it's the best game balance, and I'm just speaking for myself, to have like a class be like, hey, the thing I do is make you run fast. And that's, you know, like a primary relative to other systems that we could put in. We know that it would be it would just, why mess with the formula and have to explain that to a bunch of people and hear it. So mounts, they're not meant to basically supersede speed, but you can carry stuff on your mounts. There's a give and take with the mounts in that, you know, mounts can be killed. Mounts require maintenance. If we get really crazy later, it would be nice to have mounts be something you can gear up a bit as well. The idea of pack animals and mounts and wagons and things like that is really to help us continue to lean into making a world that feels really big and maintaining things like inventory restrictions with regards to both weight and the number of slots that you have. Will you need water and food for mounts? Yeah, that's the plan at the moment. So craft food for your mount. Yep. Keep said, I will live a life pulling wagons as a troll from town to town. As a troll, if you're pulling wagons as a troll, do you have to pay the troll toll? Dargis said, saying no can be exhausting, but it can also be really empowering. I wish I was better at it. It can be empowering, but I think it, you know, often it's just, man, it just gets exhausting. Mounts can also be viewed as a way to keep players playing, right? Collect them all like WoW, get the player addicted to mounts. I don't know that that's a primary purpose for us, but Chaos Flux said, okay, so it makes me think of BDO, how mounts were useful for carrying trash loot. Problem with BDO is that it was mindless grinding and that it was all about grinding for trash loot. Well, hopefully we find that we don't fall into that category. Good job, Rev. I enjoy mindless grinding as well, Everfest, so MnM is just a BDO clone. Yes. I will accept that we are a whatever clone. Just name a game. I will accept it on stream as much as you'd like, so that if one day someone comes back and is like, trying to say that we emulated any one game specifically too much for whatever reason, and just be like, nope. You can see all of the various clips that we have of me admitting to emulating all of these games. All right, so Shifty's pack, looking at it, West. Interesting. I had an idea for something that I don't know that I'm going to mention here. Is something I wanted to work out on the side. Probably wind up blabbing about it. But I just found a fatal flaw in my plan. Okay. And I think, so I think I've probably even mentioned it in FNF Discord, so. So his bag is no drop. I can take that off my list. Let me try doing something really quick. Okay, Chaos Flux, that is a big differentiator. Chaos said, I enjoy mindless grinding at a camp where content is group-based and can find rare named and dropped. BDO is mindless grinding in circles, AoEing trash target solo. Yeah, that's not as fun. Okay, so I think we agree then on grinding. Can I show you some of the cool spells the Inquisitor has there? I don't have any spells loaded. I've just got abilities loaded at the moment. Do I have anything in my book? Yeah. I'll show you some spell effects. Why is this hanging off the screen? Why am I not full screen? Okay. I'll show you some spell effects. This is especially fun on a skeleton if I can find it. Let me go find a skeleton. I think the Ashura have probably killed all the skeletons. Is anybody in the zone with me? Nope. Let's reload it. Reload the zone. Is the spell, are the spell sounds more or less finalized? We're pretty happy with them. Hey Churro dude. UK rads, I don't know that we've settled. My actual play Inquisitors rocking a two-hand at the moment, so I think he qualifies as two-hand tanky type. And at the moment, I think it's BIS for him. All right, so let's memory fog this guy. Boom. Then let's look at his silly face. Though I could have sworn there was a persistent effect that's supposed to be going, so I don't know what's going on there. Sure, dude, I'm glad you finally caught one of these live as well. East 97. I'm sure you get asked this all the time, but do you have any idea of a public access release window? So we've talked about trying to have it at a minimum like a public access stress test before the end of March, or by the end of March. Want to make sure that that doesn't stress the shit out of people on the team, especially Ali. So we'll see if we're going to hit that date. And we'll let you know. So be sure to... Here, let me bring up all the things I'm supposed to have up when I stream. Be sure to keep an eye on our updates on our website, be in our Discord, and join our mailing list. And then hang out here and you'll know more. Aura of Magic Resistance is telling me server error. That's interesting. Let me make a note of this real quick for the team. Cool. All right. So, hold on one sec. I need to pop over to Slack and put this in there. Attempting to cast. Oh, you know what? Let me look at this. Is this the one that I wasn't even supposed to learn or something? It's in my spellbook still, right? Aura of Magic Resistance. Let me look this up really fast and see if it's even an ability I'm supposed to have at this point. Is this a continuation of... I'm trying to find the original. Alright, so No Man's Stream said the spell effects sound less obtrusive, more subtle than I'm used to. I like it. Cool. Glad you like it. I think Robert's done a really fantastic job with them. We've put some wacky criteria out, which when I first met Robert, I wasn't sure how it was going to be received. So when Robert's been working on either music or spell effects, sounds, or other sounds, he's been super receptive to ideas and feedback and stuff. And one of the things that we were looking at for the spell effects was, can we hit that old like Hanna-Barbera sound? I don't know if you guys realized it, but like old EQ, a lot of the sounds came from, I don't know if it was like a public domain type thing or what, but it was these sounds that were kind of out there, I guess, in like cartoons and other places. And I believe that's the case. Anyways, the whole being inspired by, you know, 70s and 80s fantasy it's no bullshit to us. I personally take it extremely seriously, and so the feedback is often, hey, could this sound a little bit more like a old cartoon or something? You know what I mean? Like something you might hear in Dragon's Lair or something like that. And Robert's just nailed it. I mean, he's just surprising how into it he is, and then just how much he like just gets right in there. It's funny, the Wormsbane Tomb song, the soundtrack, when you go in there, when he had first asked about Wormsbane Tomb, based on kind of the backstory with the place, it was just less about like ooh evil spooky and more about like this melancholy and almost sad, you know, because the tomb didn't get to be the way it is based off of like happy things happening, and you know, there's a bit of self-sacrifice and other stuff that you'll probably eventually figure out or learn about. Anyways, and so the reference, I was like, what about the theme song, you know, the opening theme song to Twin Peaks, right? And Robert was like, he immediately knew the you know, the person, or the, I guess the person that made it or whatever. I was like, oh my god, I love that. And it just immediately went off and like came back with this thing that was just like super cool and melancholy and just awesome and not expected. He did the sound, the music for Glass Flats, and it's just this really cool, like, it's got this 80s vibe to it. So yeah, man, I'm excited about the stuff that he does. Wonder if any of the sounds from old D&D cartoon or public domain. Oh, they might be. Our thing is we don't want to do other people's stuff. We want to find the stuff that like made other people's stuff feel good to us. Again, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't say we. I have a strong investment. Hopefully other people feel this way as well. Strong investment in the concept. And so that's kind of been the aim. Right? It's just we could oops, sorry, destroy, not combine. You know, we could do just fantasy stuff. It's like, oh, cool. Just sort of generic fantasy orchestral. We could go with like there are a lot of things, and I'm not saying this sarcastically or whatever. Like there are a lot of things that we could just kind of default to expected fantasy, I guess. For things like aesthetic and music and stuff like that. And it's like, man, that one of the bigger companies that's less worried about you know, maybe being weird or something, do that. They're going to be able to do it better. They've got tons of cash. And so what we're trying to, you know, do is like when I think about themes or when I think about anything, man, like, why is this Wharf Rat over here? Wharf Rat shouldn't be over here. Why are you over here, buddy? Now I've got to look and see if you're spawning. You're supposed to be towards the water, friend. So anyway, where was I? Expected, blah blah blah. We're talking music. But now when it comes to actual like tropes of fantasy, and on the flip side, the goal isn't to like subvert expectations and name elves Eaglevaux or some shit that you got to figure out, and that's not a troll. It's a blah 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 blah. Like none of that, man. Like I'm a big fan of simple and kind of romantically generic and nostalgic. So there are complaints about not enough level 3 mobs, and that place was crowded. So I threw a bunch of level 3 mobs out here, but I need to actually mix this up a little bit so it's not just pure level 3 candy for y'all. Dargeth wants to play a drill blah 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 blah. I bet you do. Nothing more nostalgic than kicking snakes. I don't know, man. Every classic fantasy game's got a kicking snake these days. I actually have a snake kicking animation in, but it's not being used. Oh well. Let's see. Looking forward to the development with cartoon look and feel. It'll never get old, and can see people playing this game for 20 plus years. I'm secretly hoping as the development continues. You guys looking to cell shading? I think that'd be too far for us, unfortunately. I think it'll be a timeless game if you guys can get to cell shaded graphics. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we looked at it briefly, and by we I mean I think I probably bullshitted with Ollie about it for a little bit. Because if you're playing the old models like on P99 or whatever, old EQ models, and you put on shadows, turn shadows on, it's got a bit of a cell shaded look, and that really was like the vibe that was, you know, kind of kicked things off a little bit. Let me do this. Let me do this like I started 15 minutes ago, and then let me look up this spell. But for sure, and when it comes to art style, I mean, we're still working on it. We are having a big discussion in terms of like character art yesterday, I think. I mean, the inspiration for our art style still comes from old paintings, right? Like this is, we haven't hit it. We haven't hit it yet with the stuff that's in the background, but this is, you know, this is the kind of stuff that gives us vibes. If you look at the way that lighting plays a role in here, Ollie pointed this out early on. Colored lighting, right? Colored lighting is something we've leaned into, and let's see. You know, a colored light and otherwise like, you know, different colored environments. Awesome. Let me find. Oh, I think here it's like, you know, looking at textures and stuff, looking at how hand painted stuff could look. Ollie's like, I bet I could probably pull off a skybox that looks like that. But then if you look at the way the textures look and the light's affecting things and let's see. Where's another example of colored light that's, you know, it's just, there's something about... Hey, Norden. Thank you for 6 months. Like some of these colors, right? Like when I see these colors, okay, it's not one for one, but I think Zukin's really been doing a fantastic job of you know, bringing color into the spell effects. And I think the stuff that Pattis has got in Wormsbane, you know, Wormsbane's Tomb, the crazy color lighting and stuff really hits this, right? So if I look at like, I mean, look, there's colors, man. Dareninsky, thank you for the follow. Right, but this is, you know, this is the stuff that when we've got this sort of stuff popping off, you know, the spell effects don't have to be complex. Look at this resolution up here. This little bit of a, well, wait for the cooldown to be done. All right, so like, look at, you just need some, you need some little sprites. Boom, little sprite burst there, some color. Dope. Sparkles, sparkly balls, different colors. Boom. Right? That's getting into this. That's hitting it. And then I meant to show Zukin this, but if he's watching, look at the fur here. Right? When I see this kind of fur painted in and I check out, like, you know, our rats and bats and stuff, that's the kind of, it's got that nice painted vibe. Good job, Jeff Easley. Right? So now how do we get, you know, how do we get the characters? Oh, that's the future. You know, just getting the textures and stuff to feel a little bit more like this. Right? Like when I zoom in and I look at some of these materials and stuff and the level of saturation, all that. So, I don't know. It's all a learning process, but it really is like a, how do we make stuff that just feels like this old stuff, right? So MnM expansion number 1 confirmed tanks. No, you want to know seriously what that's about? Here, I'll show you. Look at how 80s this looks. All right, this looks like some fairly 80s space stuff. No, I'm not gonna let you oogle the ogre because it is very much a work in progress. So we'll get back to that. Hey Tikan. But I would love at some point to do some sort of a game in the future that's got like that super, you know, the books you could get at the library. When I was a kid, I always get the space books at the library. They had like all the paintings of like spaceships and shit. That would be awesome. But first we got to make this. So yeah, it's for our moon expansion. We have 3. So perhaps it would look really badass VFX. Perhaps some really badass VFX for a long cooldown. Spells that hit hard, so when you know you land that meteor strike. Yeah, so something that just like it's got much more residual resolution. Yeah, we could probably play with something like that. Have I dug into old school Errol Otis D&D art? Norden, I have. A lot of I like because I can't remember. I thought he did both color and black and white, but the black and white stuff's preferred. There's a lot of the there's a lot of just sort of the line work and proportions and other stuff that reminds me of Rick Schmidt's concept art for EQ. So yeah, anyway, 54 minutes later, I'll actually post this in Slack now. as I also check the spell database. Aura of Magic Resistance. That's the one, right? Yeah. All right. So let's go to Aura of Magic Resistance. It's a song. I shouldn't have it. That's why it's causing the error. So let me unremember that. I'm fairly certain I shouldn't have that. Yep. Have you added the Hero King Weltmacht, the magnanimous? English is so hard. Inspired by one of the most prolific chatters of all time. Weltmacht 9. Every game with the acronym MnM needs a Crash Alien Spaceship Dungeon. Well, all right. It's so hard not to be a blabbermouth. Alvius. If you've been watching the streams, you don't realize how close you've already been to that. Broke MF Club. Thank you for the follow. So let me, I think it's just going to be in here until, but I mean, this character will get nuked and recreated at some point. So I've got one of Shifty's bags now. I think we have a bug in game. I could have sworn that Luna posted it, but I'm going to, I'm going to try it out, and I'm fairly certain that this will do what I think it's going to do. Yeah, okay. So it is the known bug, but I had just forgotten about the outcome. So let me just say, so what's going on? And SC2. Thank you for 9 months. Broke MF said, I've been lurking off and on for about a week. I'm excited for this. World seems like it actually has mystery, like old MMOs used to. Broke MF, I am going to try my hardest to continue to be the champion of mystery. As much feedback as we get from people that are actually playing the game going, if I could just get a little bit more information, please. If you could just, don't hold my hand, but kind of, if you would put your pinky out and touch my pinky. Don't hold it. Don't hold my hand, but maybe just a little pinky rub. And so we've got to find the way to make sure that we're not missing any obvious opportunities to make a better experience without accidentally rubbing the rub edges a little too hard and then just making it a shiny new MMO. So I tend to be a just the rough edges person, and I know it just makes me sound like I'm out of touch. I know it just makes me sound like I'm dated. I know it's just like Sean only wants to do that because he doesn't know any better. I know it. I know it. I know it. But I swear there's consideration that goes into this stuff. I swear. I swear. Keep said, I think those people will get their pinky holding after public guides resources are made. I'm a firm believer of that. I think some of the discussion that even happens within the FNF community winds up being kind of what is going to happen in the future, with the only difference being within those discussions, there's an expectation that somebody from the team will be like, oh man, I'm sorry you were confused, and then immediately fix it. And I don't say that in a mean way at all. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm not being... It's a natural thing that if you're testing something, you should be like, hey, this seems like it could be better, right? Like, that is the point of testing. So it's absolutely not disparaging that process. And we're incredibly grateful for the help. And I'll be honest, like working on this process, or working through this process so far, I like it so much better than the other approach where we go off and we make a game for 3 years or 5 years or whatever. And then in the last year or the last 6 months, we're like, hey, everybody, look what we made. And then you guys are like, look at this obvious shit you could have made better if you just included us in the process. So that's what we're doing here. There's something fun about playing it the wrong way the first time and then being way more efficient the second character. Yeah, and for a lot of people, one of the fun things is to be that person that's like the maven, the person that can be like, hey everybody, check this out. You're confused? I can help. Right? There are a lot of people out there that really like to just be helpful. And I think they're super important to an MMO of the vibe that we want, right? If everything was doable solo and everything was easy to figure out on your own, then do you really need a community? I mean, you need a community only because certain gameplay at certain times then forces you to participate. But that's not community. That's temporary group, right? Chaos says, talking about hand holding, I still don't understand how epic quests were discovered in EQ. I think EQ devs themselves put out hints to some of their friends. I've yet to find another MMO that had quests on the scale of epics. I would like to think that there wasn't much cheating going on. I would like to think that, but I agree. I look at some of the one of the quests I look up on occasion. Here, I'll look it up here. And maybe this is more obvious than I think. And I didn't think it had the brackets before. No, wait a second. That's not what I'm thinking about. Terraces. So one of the things I like is if you look at the Terraces key, Dugraz blinks his eyes and leans forward. He whispers so quietly you must strain to hear him. I have taken up the same magics as my master. I require 2 components to complete a spell I have been researching for quite some time. The first is a vampire's fang. I have heard tales of a vampire who haunts the ruins of Kisora. Cool. So there you go. That's the information. Now, if you ask him, what Kisora? How to find Kisora? Where is Kisora? Which vampire? What room is the vampire in? Right? Like, he's not really going to answer any of those questions, I don't believe. It's just, you got enough. There's a vampire in Kisora. Have fun. Then, I also need a jade weapon stained by the blood of a Chodokai. Look in the Lake of El Omen at the Sarnak outpost. The leader used to herd Chodokai, or so I am told. There you go. Now, the vampire's fang is a Zalgosian fang dropped by Zalgaz in the depths of Kisora. The jade weapon stained by the blood of a Chodokai is a jade Chodokai prod dropped by the Chancellor Dizak at the back of the Sarnak fort by the Lake of El Omen. Give those items to Dugaras. Cool. I mean, that's not a super hard one, but it's still, you gotta put some thought into it relative to like a lot of modern quests, right? And so one of the, some of the stuff that we've done is we've made it so that you can ask most guards, or you can ask guards where to find some things, districts, guild trainers, things of that nature. But there's at some point there's a line where it's like, ask the community. The game shouldn't tell you everything. Corthin the dwarf said, so those old quests, Soulfire and such, I never understood how the first person could discover the correct materials to gather from where, etc. My example might be off, but I remember being in awe about how mysterious those quests were. I like it. Exactly. I mean, there are already quests in game. Our testers that are in FNF have been pretty good about finding stuff, but I know for a fact there are already quests in game that haven't been found. And it's only just going to get compounded. Does that mean that we don't want the quest to be found? No, but I think it's exciting when someone's like, holy shit, I found this thing. Now there are some things that we'll do to, potentially help or make things feel a little bit better, but I just want to be really careful with that. Right? Like, I swear it's not just because such and such did it. Oh, this is how it worked in EQ. That's not it. It's looking at different sources, different games. We love EQ. We look at that, for sure. But it's like looking at these things and kind of deconstructing what created the vibe. What created the vibe? This mob field, even though they're walking north to south, and I'm going to write a bug about that to try to figure out what I'm doing wrong maybe, or what we're doing wrong when we set up the wanders, because it should be wander in a volume. And I think there's something that we should be doing in their zone command that actually gets them to vary their direction a little bit better than we're doing, right? But they do tend to go up and down the volume. It could also be just a natural byproduct of having rectangular volumes instead of box volumes or spherical volumes. That may be a thing. Magnetic fields are messing with their internal compasses. Yeah, that might be it. It might be sort of a ley line thing, I think. It's lore. It's all fixed with lore. Hellsridge said P99 Has Wiki has been holding your hand? Yeah, I love P99 Wiki a billion %. The goal is to eventually be so chock full of information that we have one that looks exactly like it. It's perfect. If anybody wants to make a new wiki, use it as your template. It's gorgeous. So we're not going to make the wiki. I think someone's got to make it for us. I don't think. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe there is nothing wrong with us setting up the initial wiki and then letting you guys have at it. Maybe that's, I don't know if that breaks any sort of rule. Was that what happened with P99? Did those guys set up their wiki? So Keith, but the wiki needs to literally look like P99's wiki. It's just awesome. Yeah, all right. So maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll just emulate their wiki. Maybe we'll ask Rogan or somebody. BDC Retro says in EQ there were stories of unfinished quests where some of the pieces were found but not usable and never fixed. If you go to live service model, I take it no content is off limits from revisiting and bug fixing, which didn't always happen in EQ. Yeah, we'll always be messing with stuff. Lord La Pichon, thank you for the follow. If you guys haven't noticed, you may not have noticed, I think Nick submitted, or someone submitted it and Nick just mentioned that it happened or whatever. But anyways, we got, Nick let us know in Slack earlier that the Monsters and Memories category is now available. Like that's what we're streaming in right now, right? We're in the category Monsters and Memories. So be sure to follow the category. I think you can follow the category, right? Open in another tab and follow the category. Let's see, Twitch. Twitch. Mute Twitch. Hold on one second. There's probably going to be some nonsense in the background. Pause. Shh. Who is that? Steve Aoki. Monsters and Memories. Look what. Cool. I usually don't look at how many viewers I have, but now I just happen to see it. So that's kind of cool. Thanks for you guys being in here. 92 of you. That's pretty amazing. So yeah, you go here, right? To this category and you hit follow, which I hadn't done yet, so bad on me. That's pretty dope. How do we have 90 viewers in a category that's only been available today? How did you, are all of you just regulars? Lurkers like Lord La Pichon? Like how did you, because I was thinking I would start here and then I would pop over to software development or whatever. P99 chatters? Oh, okay. Cool, man. Usually it's 100 plus viewers. I check after the fact. I'm not trying to act like I'm, you know, not curious at all, but I check after the fact, just not during the stream, because if it were to fluctuate during the stream, I'd be like, oh no, did I say something wrong? It'd weird me out. I learned that pretty early on in streaming. Lots of folks saying you're lurking. Oh, lurking's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Even if you're lurking, you are not just a number to me. Probably get more random pop-ins, game design, development cats. Yeah, that's the thought, right? So that we get more random new people in from that category. So halfway through, like in 15 minutes, halfway through, I'll switch over to the other category so that maybe some random folks can find me. But the fact that there's like roughly 100 of you here in our actual game category is pretty badass. Thank you for that. Very cool. Very cool. All right, so I'm doing some stuff on. I need to fire back to a message in Discord in 1 second.
Thank you for sharing this passion with us.
J Bombo, thank you for 5 months. You are very welcome. You're why we're here making a game. Saw us in recommended channels. Daraninsky said, interesting. Oh. That might be a move too, right? Depends on how good Twitch's algorithm is. If they're like, hey, we saw you liked this and that and the other thing, then it might be decent for us. You know what? I'm gonna stay in here for the whole stream today and just kind of see how it turns out. And then towards the end of the stream, maybe we'll even put up like a survey if you guys remind me to see like, hey, were you recommended this? And then we can ask you like, what do you usually check out? What kind of games are you into? Because if you guys are finding us through recommendations and you are in the right spot, like you're not looking at it going, what the hell is this? Then that may be really great. Man, the weather is just not clearing up today, is it? Kind of looks like outside my actual apartment. Those of you that are super new here, if this is your first time popping in, you don't know what Monsters and Memories is, be sure to check out our website. So we're making an indie, old school, very niche MMORPG based off of late 90s, early 2000s gameplay. Taking a lot of sort of the deconstructed core design, things that we liked about MMOs during that period. Cribbing a little bit off of MUDs as well. We've got some interesting sort of MUD mechanics in here. Text-based interaction with the world. So you can do a whole slew of different verbs in interacting with things in the world, and it factors in like items you're holding in your inventory and all that other stuff. And yeah, so taking concepts that kind of when we were working on MMOs in the early 2000s, we're trying to get away from things like camping and, you know, sitting and grinding a camp with a rare, and, you know, things became more about dungeon crawls and instances and all of that stuff, and really going back to those elements and recognizing them as valid and fun and things that we like to do. A lot of folks have come back, and a lot of the team comes from the emulator community, and a lot of our team plays heavily on like P99, and, you know, just like old school vibe, right? And so we're leaning into it, not because it's like, oh, this will be a niche that we can, you know, slip into the market or whatever. It's no, I enjoy camps. Like, the thing that kicked a lot of this discussion off for me when I first came back was playing on when I came back and played my first TLP on Eriadune, and was like, all right, at the time I was basically, I had the rest of the year off, and was trying to figure out what I was wanting to do, and was enjoying streaming, and I would stream like 8 hours a day, just, you know, sitting at a camp, like, waiting for, what's his face, crap, now I can't think of his name, Paul Vipala. But just, you know, sitting in Befallen and buffing noobs every once in a while when they stumbled in, and Gynock, yeah, Gynock, right? And so it's just like, and I enjoyed it. It's fun gameplay. To me, that's a lot of fun. It's relaxing. Yeah, well, I thought there were 2 rings that he dropped. For some reason, I thought there were two rings. I didn't know he could drop all of them. I hit up the Camping Guck and hit him up, and I thought there was one other place that I had to go. I didn't realize he could draw up all of them, but I only saw him twice in a week. So, let me scroll up. I missed some stuff. Anyways, those of you that are new here, for sure, new here. Ask some questions, hop in our Discord. One of the most commonly asked questions is, when can we play? We've got a friends and family playtest going on right now. As you can see though, we're really early in development, but we're designing this in a way where it's a very open process. Oh shit, I haven't seen any of this over here yet, Pattis. What? Alright, time to go walking. We're doing this in a very open way where we've just been, from day one, if you go to our website, if you check us out on YouTube, the landing video is it's like a 7-minute retrospective that takes you through from like the first Discord messages all the way through actually, you know, the first steps into Unity, all the way through our current status. So it's a good overview of what's been going on for the last 2 years. If you're new here and you're like, what is up with his frame rate? I'm playing in editor right now just so I can easily come in and look at certain things and bounce around and all that. Whenever I'm playing in our client, you'll see a pretty noticeable difference. Oh man, look at this. It's fancy. I haven't seen any of this yet. Hey, Enoch Bear. Hope you guys fix the issue with UQ regarding expansions. Anything past God destroys the population. Oh, man. The population was already so spread out, even by God. But it is a thing we discuss a fair amount. When people are like, you know, talking about our zone size and zone sort of complexity in the case of like Night Harbor. Keep in mind, we want you to use the city for years, and you're going to find, I'll just go ahead and spoil it. You'll probably even find a dungeon or two right under your feet years later. You never know, right? So, holy shit. It's like the Great Wall of China staircase over here, Pattis. It's like the Georgetown Exorcist steps. Those of you that have lived in DC, you know the steps. Those of you that were stationed in DC, you might have even run those steps once or twice. Pattis is so... I check in with Pattis every once in a while. I'm like, Pattis, are we okay? Is the city too big at this point? We good? He's like, no, it's good. It's good. Still going. I'm like, perfect. Cool. We'll fill it. We'll fill it. I got a thing on my things to do list where I'm so excited to get in and actually do. Oh, this is nice. It transitions over here into the guild area as well. Sweet. Yeah, shaman on this side and then druids on the other. I forgot they were swapped. Rule said, I miss large city zones and MMOs. Yeah. Well, we'll definitely be able to deliver that for you. No, that was a nice little surprise, Pattis. It's coming together. Loved, okay, Everfest says, I loved how in EQ it could be so calm and meditative in a camp. Then you could go instantly to a panic with the heart racing. It's like, oh shit, oh bad pull, oh my god, someone trained, oh. Right, yeah, that is the vibe. That's the vibe. It's meditation, man. It's, so one of the things from the first days that I played EQ, well, from the first days that I was working on the team, like I always called, I don't know if you guys did it, I'm not the greatest EQ player, and so like even when I was with my guild and we were doing super cool leading edge stuff, I was just kind of the guy that they carried, and I was always watching TV. I always had this tiny little TV back when a tiny TV was like still 20 pounds, and so my girlfriend and I, she had her PC over there. I had my PC here on this like big banquet table. We had a little TV between us, and I'd watch pretty much anything that was on that was, you know, because when you're sitting there for 14 hours or whatever, 20 hours in a given day or some shit, it's just you're watching whatever. And so a lot of cooking network. But anyway, cheers, right? When I would log into the game and my guild, I'd be like, hey guys, and the guild's like, you know, hey Sean, whatever the character name. It was like the TV show Cheers, where everybody knows your name. And so it's the idea of I get off work or you get off work, and it's like, oh man, I can't wait to log in and relax, right? I want to log in, have everybody say hi to me, like, hey, what's going on, buddy? How's it going? How's work? Oh, you know, bullshit, blah, economy, take my wife, please, blah, 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 whatever it is. And, you know, you go in there, you crack open a beer or whatever you're into, and then you sit in and you relax and you just go to meditating. Pat, is this area? I like it so far. I like it so far. I think if we want to dig into like the question of prior civilization and do we need anything else, you know, is there something that we want to convey here or whatever, we can crack that open and kind of see. For now, I would just keep chopping ahead with this, and then, you know, we'll if there needs to be a change later, we'll talk about it. But for now, I think it looks great. The goblin says so as well. When the goblin black backs your play, then you're in good hands. So, cool. I think you're good, man. Just run with it. So, Pattis, I'm totally going to take one of these original guild halls. I'm going to grab one and I'm going to stuff it in the deep on like an island, and I'm going to make it into a sunken temple, and then we could just make it something better later. But I so want to just take like one day and rearrange mushrooms and maybe some of the geo in the deep really quick and plop in a couple of things from Night Harbor into it and just be like, and then just camp it out. Put in 4 or 5 camps and that be that. Just as a temporary sort of like, hey, additional game space kind of thing. Last week on stream, BDC Retro says, last week on stream you commented on all the signs and how they may be giving too much away. Once the art is finished and the signs blend in better with the buildings, art style, maybe they won't pop as much as they do on the white in-dev buildings. It's possible. It's possible. I just want to make sure that when we're doing things like that, that it just has the feel that we want, and we're not doing things just as a reaction to people's initial reaction to the game, if that makes sense. I think our team has been really good on this front, and I think the folks that have come in for Friends and Family have been really good on this front. But one of the things, it's my job as someone that's, I don't know, seen a few of these cycles, to sort of mention things that, like, hey, just keep in mind. And one of the things that, I've mentioned is, hey, just make sure we don't get too reactionary, which I don't think we have been so far. But it's hard because sometimes it's like, oh man, so-and-so didn't like such and such, or so-and-so had this feedback, and it's like, oh, and that's not how it works. We got to look at it and filter it and go, oh, is that valid? Do we agree? There's got to be a strong vision holder sometime, Corthan said. Yeah. You know what? I volunteer. Darkwind replied to Everfest and said, no other MMORPG in my experience really captured how easy a camp can go from easy to batshit insane just by the draws of luck, random roamers, spawn patterns, etc. Made PvP very interesting because all dungeon crawls were so challenging no matter how many times you did them. It felt like, well, and there's a variable, there's the variable of, I think it's a lot less like, you're going to have a lower percentage of pucker moments if you're always sort of, you've got like a static group and the folks and they know what they're doing. But then you get some random cleric like me in your group and, oh man. Are you going to have games within a game like a card game in a tavern or something like that? Prime number 23 asks. I wouldn't put it past this just because folks like Ollie who would actually have to do the coding can be kind of wild. And, Gyms, when Gyms was put into EQ, is just because the programmer wanted to put it in EQ. No one was asked, I don't think. They just made it and put it in. Looking at sort of our approach to stuff, I wouldn't be shocked if that sort of thing happens as well. You know what, Pattis? I don't know. Are you already doing this here? If it's me flying the speeder is disorienting you, let me Have we released? No, VH Infinity we haven't released. We've got some people in that we know that are testing some stuff for us. So Pattis, I don't know if you were thinking ahead to this already, but you know what might be interesting, especially given that the mountain's right there. Tell me if you're already doing this, but aqueduct, because there's that one. There's a reference to aqueduct and the sort of the glacial lake. Oh, you said he's going AFK. I'll have to tell him later then. Don't let me forget to tell him, or if he catches up or something. But essentially, because we've got the water here and there, we might as well just kind of pull it straight, like out of an aqueduct, coming into here, bring it into there, boom. And then we can retain those concepts that we had mentioned for. I think there was a slight reference to one in the Newbie Yard, sort of the western wall of the Newbie Yard, and then in Telekir. There's a reference there. So let me make a note since he's AFK. Put that at the top of my list. Ask Pattis about aqueduct. And then later on we can see if we can make it tricky and do some stuff with it. Excuse me. Enoch said my go-to while watching something and playing EQ was National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation and Basketball with Matt Stone, Trey Parker on repeat. From this, like, till this day, I can't go to Field of Bone and play an Ixar and not think of romantic comedies. I'm fairly certain there's just this period where I was in there playing an Ixar or two, and my girlfriend at the time just wanted to watch romantic comedies. I mean, I enjoy them as well. And so it's like Bridget Jones' Diary, I think. I don't know. Maybe that was one of them. You've got Mail, Sleepless in Seattle, all that kind of stuff. So that shit comes to mind every time I go into the zone. So yeah, we got Sage Side over here with the big library, the Wizard's Tower, Spellbinder's Spire, where the Inquisitors and the Spellblades train. We'll continue to flesh this out. This will have like a university campus kind of vibe. Field of Bone sounds like a young adult dating movie title, BDC Retro said. Wow. And right before that, John said, aren't all ducks aqueducts? So it's awesome to see that we're continuing to keep the dad crowd engaged here. Grumble Hungry, 10 minutes ago you subscribed with Prime, and that was very kind of you, and I've been slow to respond. I am sorry. Oh man, now I'm really flying fast. So this area of the city will wind up being more of a combat area. It's a sketchy sprawl. This little L here. So we'll get that all populated and ready for you to go either make some friends with sketchy people or go over and kill them and take their stuff. And then we'll be working on population of the harbor area as more of the interiors come online and as we work through a bit more of the lore. Enoch asked, how's family and friends testing going? It's going well. We're getting a lot of information. It's been very helpful. It has us optimistic for future testing. Man, when there's textures on all of this, it's just going to be wild. Getting there. Almost done. So there's going to be a fair amount of content in here. Lots of things for you to go poking your nose into. Pirate Zeke said, love your newsletters. Thanks for the updates. You're welcome. We'll be putting a new one together over the next couple of days. It's about that time. Is this a good, evil, or neutral city? Everfest said yes. And that is one of the benefits of it being big. Would be epic if under the city there was a giant sand djinn or dragon. That would be pretty cool. Yeah, it's the only city at the moment. Oh, Biggs, I don't know if it'd be the biggest city in any MMO. Wouldn't Neverwinter have us on that? And I don't know about ESO, and some of them Final Fantasy cities are pretty big, aren't they? Dark One asks, are you going to have different factions within the city? So let's say if I'm a paladin and I end up in the wrong neighborhood, I can easily get killed by an NPC. Yes. Yeah, we've already got some of that. Like, just honestly, it was like 5 minutes worth of throwing some stuff in. But there are some ruffians that if you go into the wrong area, you can be attacked by them. Will be one of the things on my things to do list is to actually build out a. There's going to be a compound right here. Actually, this structure will wind up being an interesting compound. And you know the idea is there's the ruffians there. So there's the opportunity for you to faction up with some of these other factions, right? So since there are different factions, the analogy I've tried to use in the past is if you're familiar with EverQuest, imagine you smash. If you made a city that was Thurgan and Kale and Skyshrine and put it together with, you know, some other city as buffer. That's kind of a vibe. Poopmaker said, will there be a toilet-themed district in the city? Probably not an entire district, Poopmaker. We're gonna have to limit your activities to one area. We may put toilets in though, and then you have to shrink. You need 2 shrink spells to get small enough to go down the toilet and into the sewers. None of that secret passage BS. You're going straight down the toilet hole. With Poopmaker leading the way. It's coming together. Will there be a plan for all races to have their own starting cities as development continues, or is this, or just this main city? As development continues longer term, we want to have cities in for the various races. The scale and sort of scope of what that will entail will probably vary. The goal really is to try to make these places that maintain their value instead of just starter cities, right? So now I know when folks say starting city, often they're not meaning like, hey, it's a city that you only start at and then you never use it again. I get that. It's usually like, hey, a place where I can start. But the goal will be for us to find ways to retain the value of those cities, and I think, you know, it only makes sense that they'll vary in scale. Some cities may just, you know, even if they're not as crazy as Night Harbor, there's certain cities that probably deserve a little bit of love, both based on the number of people that love playing those races, or also just kind of the difference in theme or whatever. So I can imagine our Deep Elf City being a little bit bigger than maybe, you know, the Wood Elf City. Just because the Deep Elf City is such an interesting, you know, variance in theme. Yeah, it might be a small city, but what lies beneath, as John says. It may be a smaller city, but what's nearby. It may be a smaller city near another smaller city. So like Wood Elves and High Elves may be a little bit closer to each other, and then it's more about what's in that region with them, and then how far off is, you know, the next bigger city, that type of stuff. So it's really less about like how do we create a perfect scale for all cities, and more about what's the city going to do for us. And then who knows, we may pick wrong. We may go, you know what, this one city that we make is just too small, and we'll make it bigger. Rather than do a bunch of expansions that take you further and further away from the known world. I think it just makes a lot of sense for us to look at, all right, what if we expand this one area that, you know, folks have liked, or let's redo it in the same style, and improve it, that type of thing. UK Rad said, I thought one of the worst decisions with EQ2 was having everyone start in one of the two major areas. Love the various starting points in EQ. Yeah, but I mean, sometimes you try stuff, sometimes it doesn't work. Tree City where you fall off and die for sure. Gotta have that. So, let me respond to two things really quick. Oh, you like to do player housing in all racial cities or only in this city? All racial cities and outside of cities. I think I've mentioned the example a few times of maybe, you know, if there's a long haul from here, which there is, right? Like if I were to run out the northern gate, go through Sangreet Strand, go through the Glass Flats, and then into Dragon's Run. That's a bit of a hike. Imagine along the way in Sangreet Strand, there's a old inn that you can actually take the deed for and restore, and then you can run an inn if you want to be a person that runs an inn. There you go. That's your player housing. Right? Maybe there's one or two buildings there, so you can have the inn and somebody else can use the other building for whatever they want. It could just be their house. It could be a blacksmith shop. It could be a trading post. That's the kind of stuff that we want to get in and really focus on a little bit more of the life sim sense of place type part of the game, right? So... Corp Jasmine, you're very welcome. Thank you for 4 months.
Oh my dog, good day all.
And Golden Gloves, thank you for 15 months. Yeah, sorry, I don't know if you're able to hear those messages very well. I think I've got a weird mix going on right now. But I hope your slow work day moves along fast enough for you, buddy. How long do you imagine running across the world could take once the world is sort of complete? Goblin, I can't even put a number on it. I don't know. I think that's just something we're going to figure out as we go. I don't want to make a guess. I mean, we could sit down and talk about other examples. I think we have in the past. But I just really... I feel like until we've spent some time running around a bit more in these zones... then we're not going to know. And then I really think even if we did that right now... Poop Maker?
Epic City.
Thank you for 3 months. Have you guys fleshed out the world map yet? Chaos Flux, we have an old one. We had like a first stab at one, but we'll probably move stuff around and play around with it. Anyway, to what I was saying, Goblin, I think the other thing that we want to get in, like we need to get mounts in, and it'd be really cool to have the pack animals, mounts, and like carts or wagons if we're going to get them in, and then see how we feel about that. So, and then as a team, we'll talk a little bit more. Like I've got ideas on how to expand the world without it being, hey, here's every city now and the rest of the game all at once. Because, I mean, the only way we're going to do that realistically is if we wanted to make the rest of the world, it'll probably be, we hit a point where we've got the finances to be able to do that, first of all. And then second of all, that would take such a chunk of time that it would be, you know, brewing in the background for X amount of time anyway. So we'd still need to talk about what we would be doing in the meantime. You know, one of the thoughts has just been exploring different ideas that we can grow the game and the game world over time. Excuse me, and then make a fun and big deal out of, oh, this new racial city came online, right? And kind of treat it as little mini expansions in that regard, but all just part of the live service. And we'll see. So. But that's just me talking at the moment. Bad Ear Peeler said, I don't know anything about game making, so I'm curious if it would be more taxing to make Kelethin like 5 or 10 times higher in height, or is that negligible? No, it's negligible. It's really just more about, there are probably other technical questions that we have to resolve, like, I don't know, if there's anything weird that happens with rendering at that distance, or, yeah, so. Treat it as a world event? Exactly, Cast Lock. And I think it'd be fun, I don't know, I mean, we're a small team, it's an indie project, we've been taking you along for sort of the ride with us and vice versa the whole time. This idea of like, oh shit, Gnomish City time, right? Like, I could see being pretty hyped for that. Perhaps in a few cities, the players need to fight off an invasion of a certain monster, Chaos says. Or they need to chase monsters out of the city. What? Frickin' gnomes open a dimensional portal. Now you got all these weird-ass chaos elves coming in that gotta be swept out. Or maybe the goblins have taken over the dwarven city. That seems pretty tropey. Be really cool to see Arch Age's housing system was introduced into a game of this nature. Big says, always loved what they did, not just sure it meshes well. But it would still be cool. I've got the feeling, I mean, given Ollie's love of housing and Star Wars Galaxies and UO and all sorts of stuff, I think we'll be talking about all sorts of ideas as we go. XPRZO says, in your experience, out of all the games you led, did they turn a profit? Is it hard to generate profit in creating games due to the high overhead, unpredictable adoption rate of gamers? Every game that I've worked on that shipped has been profitable, and I think I'd have to check on at least one of them. All of them are still live at the moment as well. So, I mean, because it's pretty easy to check. Basically, I worked on EQ. It's still live. We tried to get a new mercenary game going. It got canceled. And that was while I was briefly working on PlanetSide. So I was only there as to kind of see what was going on while we were kicking up the next game. So I don't really count PlanetSide as like anything I really contributed to. So EQ, DC Universe Online is still live. Both of those very profitable. After that, I went over to King's Isle where I helped out on Pirate 101, Wizard 101. They're still live, I believe. The third MMO I was supposed to work on never went live because they decided they're going to make mobile games. So then I went to Germany to work on Dark Orbit. Last I looked, it was live. That was a very profitable game because it was like 7 years old when I got there. Star Stable, very profitable game. So what I've found is, in my experience, it's not hard to generate a. Let me take that back. Making games is hard. Making a profitable game is hard. Making an MMO that's profitable is hard. The games that I've seen and worked on that have been profitable typically started as a smaller game that allowed them to reach profitability quicker, and then allowed them to grow, sometimes too much. But like EQ paid for most of Sony for most of Sony Online's lifespan, right? So that's kind of part of the philosophy of coming in into, it was part of the philosophy coming into this was nothing's guaranteed, everything's insanely hard to pull off. Making games is very hard just because you need people to make games, and people don't always work well together and jive and move in the same direction and all that shit. It gets easy to overthink things. It gets easy to overspend. It gets easy to overinvest and then be stuck there with this thing. It's like, hey, we spent 50 million on this. Realistically, what is the business like? How is our business model going to get not only that 50 million back? Like, how do we take care of the $50 million payback window, but also then do that while handling our operating expenses, which is chiseling away from, increasing the length of that payback window. And then, is it worthwhile to anybody, and blah, blah, blah. That's why companies like Amazon, and I'm not speaking about, any of their stuff that, like the stuff that the Amazon folks in San Diego or whatever are working on, but like, that's why they spent how much on that one game? I mean, a shitload. And then basically it's just like, this isn't going to work. Right. And when you look at how, not New World, so there was another one that was like a battle royale or something like that came out and then like went back into beta and then came out again and then was canceled or something. But anyways, when you're taking these like big ass swings like that, it gets really easy to just all of a sudden realize mathematically this doesn't make any sense. And so that's one of the things that we've tried to avoid. That's why this has also remained, a passion project for as long as it has. Crucible, that's right. That's the one. Mr. Lamenfrey, welcome. Asked, what are you working on? Can we see? We are working on Monsters and Memories. Here is a link to our website. You can hop into our Discord as well. It's kind of a game development stream, but it is the game that now that the category is named after. Chaos Flux has donated $10 community gift subs for a total of 30. Well, thank you for your generosity. Sklar, Burrito Array, Nulak, Vagrant, Frontier, Lubergabber, that's a fun name, Reckness, Insidious Being, Seajack, Fructios, Wolfden59, all of y'all, congrats on not having to watch ads. Very kind of you. Thank you. What else did I miss? So, Enigma314 asked, not sure if you've covered this in the past, but do you need this project to be financially successful, or is it a project you're working on with folks for fun? If it is a biz, do you have content talking about that side of things at all? We hit on it every once in a while. There's 150 videos, I guess, up on our YouTube. I don't know that some stuff has been clipped out as shorter clips if you go to Mandrake Farms. But it's a topic we hit on a fair bit. So, but to answer your question, it is a commercial project. We are currently doing this as a passion project to get us to the point where we can switch to having this be people's full-time jobs. We're looking at a couple different options of how we do that moving forward. For the time being, for as long as the team continues to, donate their time to the project, and we get further and further along, it gets easier and easier for us to get into a mode where we're financially viable, right? A big part of the cost obviously is game development, or a big part of the cost is developing the game originally. And so we're mitigating a fair bit of that just by bootstrapping the costs, basically paying for the stuff that we have to pay for out of pocket. So software costs, contractors, legal fees, all of that stuff is being handled just out of pocket, and then we're doing the work as doing the work on a volunteer basis. So hopefully that makes sense. There may be other questions, I'm sure, but hopefully that gets you started. Nice upfront cash flow would be lifetime subs in collector's edition versions. So the challenge with that is, I personally, and I'm just speaking for myself on this one, I feel like selling a lifetime sub before the game is in a really playable state where, essentially you'd be paying a sub anyway, that feels sketchy, right? Like we don't want to be like, hey, pay us this chunk up front, and there's no guarantee that there's a game there yet, right? On the flip side, if there is a game there, I'd still kind of rather you have just pay us the sub. Just pay us the sub, because the thing that we're doing is whatever we charge for a lifetime sub would have to make sense relative to what we believe your likely lifetime value is, right? Your LTV as a customer. And so, what do we price that out as? Is a lifetime sub a 1-year subscription, right? In terms of pricing, is it if our, let's just say the sub is $10, so do we do a lifetime subscription for $120? That I've seen that happen at businesses where they were too dependent on lifetime subs to basically push revenue during a certain quarter or something like that. Oh, our quarter's looking a little weak and we got to report to the board, we said we're going to grow by 15% this year, so let's do some lifetime subs. Well, you do lifetime subs, and if you do those at at a certain price point, okay, well, but then that's it. And our job is to get you to come back. Like, our goal should be, how do we have you be a subscriber for 20 years, right? That's a much different LTV, and that's one of those crazy goals. But even 2 years, that's a different LTV than just firing off a lifetime sub. And I've actually seen it where not only was there a reliance on lifetime subs, but then there was a reliance on lifetime sub, discounted lifetime subs, right? And it's like, now you've really kind of screwed the pooch. And it's okay if we've got microtrans and all this other stuff, maybe making up that gap, right? If there's a case to be made that says, oops. there's a case to be made that says people, once they become lifetime subscribers, then they monetize better on all the other stuff. But we don't have that other stuff, and we don't want that other stuff in our game. Unbutton the top button or two of your shirts during streams and start, and the subs will roll in. No, Dargith. You don't want to see this pirate ship I got tattooed on my chest. Core Jasmine says, random specific question, but I have always wondered if it would be possible to get a player notebook in an MMO. Would allow you to keep notes on quests, locations. Yeah. To-do lists, etc. Imagine that storing info server side where everyone is issued. Oh, no, because it wouldn't need to. You could just store it locally. Ours isn't. We've got some bugs with it, but we put in a little one already. Thought that was a really cool idea when we played Project Gorgon. And then Studio Grok says something along the same lines. I'd love to see a notebook done like Morrowind, where quest info is updated in order, so you have to look through your notebook to piece together what you've accomplished so far in a quest line. A lot of people have asked for that, and it is now on our feature list within our GitHub issues. So we're going to be looking at a journal that basically records those interactions in the Morrowind style. Oh yeah, this is Tom, by the way. Oh hey, what's going on, dude? Yeah, so it's come up so far. So we're talking about having that sort of thing that records that information. One of the ideas I'd mentioned is I'd like to have a ledger of essentially a ledger of sort of social interaction. So you could look at a list of over time people you've grouped with and a little bit of info on them. So we'll have to figure out what all that info is. I think Goblin even had something sort of the ledger for these two ledgers sort of mentioned in the UI mock-up that he did a few months ago. Excuse me. And so that way you could be like, oh shit, Feedy Jammies was a really great cleric in my group last week. But maybe I don't remember Feedy Jammies' name, right? And thank you for the follow, Feedy Jammies. But so maybe I'm like, oh, who was that cleric? 2 days ago, I was grouped with them in Wormsbane. They're really awesome. I can go back and look and go, oh man, that was Feedy Jammies. Yep. Yeah, and Keebs, like you said, maybe you can leave notes. And so it'd be like, and then you can have Keebs in there. Was a bad tank. Even though Keebs is fantastic. I love playing with Keebs. So, and then the other thing is a ledger of all transactions. So any item you delete, buy, sell. Whoops. I think there's still some work going on here. That look crazy. So anything you delete, buy, sell, trade would be in your items ledger. So kind of like what I was talking about with Ryan about social stickiness. Yeah, exactly. Oh no, I've fallen. Oh no. Oh no, it's scary down here. It's funny. I even made a things to do list to do productive stuff on stream today, but then I get so distracted talking to you guys. So hopefully you don't mind if you're new here. Sometimes we're productive. Sometimes you'll see stuff like work in a database, or I'll pop over and be like, all right, let's look at some here. I'll bring up zone data for the zone here. Wormsbane. Enable it. Go to scene view. Just to show you that for real, there is work that is done here. But then again, now that we've got our own little category, I can just play the game. And if you're in here, then you get to see the game being played. All these numbers are data in the database, right? So Blue lines are pathers, patrols. So swear there's a game being made. I just don't always do the best job of showing it. If you join our Discord, you can see notifications when folks are streaming. Zukin and Pattis and Goblin stream a fair bit, so you can see the art. How do you envision aggro leashing? More like EQ, where either you die, or you kill the mob, or we don't have leashing. Stuff already chases you to the zone line. We've already had plenty of trains to various zones. Would it be too hand-holdy to get an emote that says something like you've had a notable interaction, so you know you spoke to a quest NPC? What do you mean by emote, Whitechapel? I don't think it's too hand-holdy when something maybe gives you a little bit of information after the fact, right? One of the ideas that we've mentioned, I think Keith may have started on it at some point, but then I don't know. I think got deprioritized or whatever. Was an idea of NPCs having a generic name until you interact with them. And then you would know a little bit more about them, and so you would be able to either know that someone sent you to it, because they'd be like, a guard tells you to go speak to guard Kevin over there, and then a guard over there now has the name guard Kevin, and so you're like, oh wait, all right, that's easier to spot. We have a look system that allows us to look and see what's going on in the environment and interact with the environment. So if you look down here, I just click look. I fell into this very scary pit here, and when I hit look, it says, a myriad of hapless corpses are impaled on the spikes here, and it is only a stroke of luck that you didn't join them. There is a feeling of a draft coming from one of the walls, but you aren't sure which. Turnip Jen, I talked over. You're 30 months. What's going on? Holy crap, Roly. 30 months is a long time. Thank you for being here. We'll have to rewrite this, Luna, if you're watching. This pit used to look slightly different, and so there's a slightly different description for the pit. But yeah, we've talked about adding a /look, adding the ability to look at NPCs. Are we now sand spikes? No, but spoiler alert, I could have sworn that the spikes were dynamic now. Maybe it's because I've got aggro turned off. Hey, get out of here, crazy. What happens if you look in an area without a trigger? It'll just tell you something generic for the zone, like you are in Wormsbane, or you see nothing out of the ordinary. So I could have sworn that the spikes were dynamic now. Those of you that are new here, you can see we've gone for a bit tighter feel. A little more claustrophobic. The music is kind of lighthearted for being in a dungeon. It depends on what part of the song. We're doing our own thing. So yeah, I wish I'd like to find a way, but we'll see it soon enough, I guess. But I'd like to find a way to be able to show off some video footage of the friends and family groups playing through. Just seeing the game in actions. It's just it's a very different experience than, you know, just seeing me run around in here, so. Must be satisfying for you and the team to see actual people playing. Well, John, I'd like to think that we were always actual people, but it is extremely satisfying to see other folks playing and having a good time. We're people too, John. Actual lizard people, maybe. Okay, fair enough. I'm busted. You're in the antechamber. A large stone statue rests in an alcove. Examine statue? Sorry, inspect. You'd almost think I'd never seen this game before, some of the shit I do. Expect statue. There is a plaque on a statue. There's an inscription on the plaque. It reads, Epitaph of the Last Wormsbane. There you go. Thought devs were demigods, not people. The decent save. Good job, John. I'd prefer to be an ancient one. This pale blue-green light is delish. Yeah, we were talking about crazy lights yesterday. So, and we were talking about it at the beginning of the stream. It was that idea of like some of the images we were looking at yesterday where it's just like, why is that purple? I don't know, man, because it looks pretty badass. That's pretty, because it looks fantastic. Fantastical. Because it looks bad. Exactly. Right? It's about being just a cool fantasy environment. I mean, it's a relatively simple environment, right? When you look at the propping and stuff like that, it's just like relatively simple, but it just, things have purpose and they have effect. The rule of cool, yep. Hopefully some of the different color lights have a significance to them in the future. Some will. And some will just be cool chaos. There was a conversation we got caught in early in doing this dungeon even, where it was like, you know, well, undead should always be blue and this should always be, you know, red, and other things should always be green. And I respect it. I'm not mocking that conversation at all. But I don't, to me it's like, but what about the effect of, this is just, it's blue-green here, transitions to purple, you know, green there, and then how does my torch interact with these different colors, and what about the base texture color, and how they play together, and then when I'm, you know, when I'm popping off a spell and it's kind of dark or whatever, like what is the effect then of, you know, and when you see people playing, and you see different spells popping off and all of that, It's just the colors are kind of moving and merging and blending, and it really does get into that like vibe that I was talking about here with like, you know, this just scenes like this are the inspiration, right? Like, wow, fantasy, dog. Can you feel it? Right? This is inspiration. Why do all these things look the way they do, and what are the rules? And I don't know, man, but it's cool. What about certain color source to trigger an event, such as generic something happening term? I don't know. I kind of look at it, what if there's a lack of color and then all of a sudden you start seeing a light popping off? That might mean that something is happening, right? I'm not dismissing it. I was just... I get concerned when we start making things a little too rule-based, right? Everything's got a specific meaning all of a sudden, then it gets so easy to decipher the meanings that then some of the playfulness and the curiosity disappears, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if we systematize too much, it might be better, but it also might just feel like a system. And so I want us to be able to have that freedom.
Progress is looking fantastic. Love the work.
Thank you, Kimry, and thank you for 6 months. He's like a wild stallion, untamed and free. Wild stallions are excellent. Pattis cannot be constrained. Good. Yeah, so look at just this scene right here. Maybe I'm just being too big of a nerd. But look at all of the different colors going on right here. You know how happy that makes me? Let alone when here, let's just reload and then they'll start casting spells and shit. Now we need to work out some, there's some pixelation and shit. You see where the light source is getting a little, we have to fix a couple of things, but generally speaking, minus the little lighting glitch, right? It's just, oh my gosh. It's so here. We'll do that one more time. Sans HUD. Right? Avoiding the too much brown curse. Everybody's like, why did you pick a desert? Everything's tan, everything's brown. Oh man, come on. Deserts are cool. Dargit said, I showed some friends one of the vids where the Wormsbane interest reveals itself as you round the bend in the tunnel leading to it. They audibly gasped at the effect of its almost magical set piece, how it's done. All of that to say, the team is absolutely on the right track with stuff like this. Right on, man. You know, that kind of thing has me hyped. Like, hearing that has me hyped. Following one of our friends and family's testers' adventures, I've been talking to them about their adventures, and sort of seeing their progression as a player that hasn't played this style of old school MMO before. Ethan Schulman, yeah, it is HGRP, and that is probably very much what happened. hit the limit of 24 lights per 16 by 16 tile. Yeah, so we'll have to look at some of it, but anyways, like following their progression and seeing them evolve and like have some of those moments. And mind you, this person that I've been talking to and watching their sort of evolution within our game, they're an experienced modern MMO player. But in playing sort of the way they do and in playing our game, there's really this growth and evolution of them as a player and sort of like that sense of wonder and like overcoming challenges. And they're overcoming challenges of just like, oh, this is really sketchy and I'm afraid of corpse recovery and I don't know that I want to go into the, I'm not really a dungeon player anyway. And the next thing you know, it's like, oh, I got some new spells and I decided I wanted to go into the dungeon. And it's like, oh, you know what? And I was able to go in. And then there's this other player that got, they're a lower level player and they died and they needed help getting to their corpse. And so I was like envising them and helping them and I could fight. And it was just like this evolution from like, oh yeah, I'm not really that into the dungeons and they're a bit sketchy, to like going in and helping people with corpse recoveries and just like talking about how like awesome it felt, and the that sense of like growing in power. And it's just like, yeah, I read it. I was just so happy. I immediately read it out to my wife and it's just like, and I need to ask them if I can relay that, the details of that personal growth within the game, to the team and stuff in more specific terms. But it was really cool. And, to me, it very much felt like someone having that classic experience, which it's the target. Tiny deep beetles. I don't think I've been in this room since the deep beetles were added. So there's a strong belief that there will be a generation of MMO players that, a lot of our folks are 35 plus that come in here in their 30s, and older and have played EQ, played Dayak, played UO, all that stuff. But I really do believe that once people kind of get a feel for the vibe that we're shooting for, if we maintain the vibe, right? If we maintain the rough edges, if we maintain some of the things that do make the feel different and do force people to be social, and do have people participate in the community proactively because that's what they enjoy doing and they want to share with other people. I think it's going to feel like a different, it's going to be a new option for a lot of people, and we may surprise ourselves. We may find that we're capable of getting, our if we look at how we've kind of pictured our potential audience in the past, like I wrote up a thing that was just kind of a very simplistic breakdown, but it was like, essentially people that have played these games before, people that played UO and EQ and Dayak and stuff, primary target, right? A lot of you folks. Primary target. Secondary targets are going to be, and I don't know which one's going to be bigger. It's going to be people that have maybe never played an MMO before, but asked the same questions that we did back in the day, which was like, hey, is there an online experience, like one of these metaverse things or whatever? Is there like a Fortnite, but it's it's Dungeons and Dragons kind of thing? Because D&D is huge, right? It's like 40 million people playing D&D. It's in the zeitgeist. And then some of those people may come into MMO for the first time. On the other side, I think there's going to be a number of younger people, 20s and younger, that will hear about it and be like, oh man, this sounds challenging, or oh, this is different, or oh, I kind of like the vibe. And they'll come in and they'll be like the individual that I met in Unrest on P99 that was playing EQ for the first time, 20 years old or 22 years old. and just kind of heard about a game that had that vibe, right? You know, some of the people that we've talked to that have, you know, purposely sought out a game with specific challenge points and a game lacking certain features. And those are our secondary sort of targets. And who knows, right? It may come together really nicely. MnM is playable while scrolling TikTok. Zoomer approved. Yeah, right? We keep saying you can play it and eat a sandwich, but you can play it and, you know, make a TikTok dance or some shit. Once we share it with friends and family, it will spread. Everfest, I hope so. I believe so. Will we be able to give mobs weapons and have them use them? It's fun doing that to low-level mobs and seeing noobs try to kill them and loot it. I don't know if we've established a rule on that or not. To achieve the type of MMO you guys are going for these days, you have to really stick to your guns on the beliefs. I am with you for sure, but I recognize the pressure to bend. Many do. Yeah, like I said, I get, there's a fair amount of me being the no man that happens. And it definitely, like, don't get me wrong, it gets a little tiring, at times. But I don't see how we make this game without sticking to some of these beliefs and assumptions. And the thing is, we can always change our minds on some of these things. You know, if we find that one of those beliefs just really isn't right, it's an MMO. You know, like, EQ today is very different from EQ when we first played it, right? For better or worse in different areas. But what I mean is, it can change as needed. Nicodemus, welcome back, buddy. I've been meaning to, like, basically pause stream and reply to you the whole stream. I apologize. I've got you up in Slack in the background right now. I hope everything's good. Thank you for the 5 gift subs. Big Matt, Goblin, J-Dub, Intricate, Rushkin, congrats y'all. You know what, man? Like, no matter what, there are so many days, even if I'm just kind of like worn out or tired or frustrated or whatever, I come in here and talk to you guys and meet new people and we get hyped on the game and I get so much new energy. So I appreciate that. I'm still going to reply to you, Nicodemus, though. Turnip said, it's always impressive when people discover P99 EQ for the first time and stick with it. It was much easier to stick with back in 1999 when MMO scene was a novelty. But now with so much else out there, it's crazy to see this old game stick on something. But there's not so much else that feels like that is the thing, right? That's the thing. There's just not so much that has that vibe. It's just a different vibe. And we're doing our best to deconstruct that, you know, vibe that existed back in the day in these older games. And see, you know, how do we, right? It's every little thing. It's the size of a hallway. It's, you know, crazy color choices. It's a certain degree of realism coupled with a you know, a degree of fantasy, right? Like, my character's not overly stylized, and yet it's a fantastic world. You know, all of these little decisions go into making a different experience. You had mentioned the entrance to Wormsbane. I'll pop there in a minute. I'll just zone back to the front. UK Rad said Lazy Peon will poop all over this because he doesn't hit enough buttons in 10-second period. I don't know that he. So, I would say that I wouldn't be shocked. There's a number of things that Peon or Josh Strife Hayes or, you know, other creators might look at and poop on. I would say Lazy Peon's been pretty cool about, like, old school games that are done well and don't feel like a cash grab. And oh, this room's so dope, right? And so I think Peon and Josh might surprise you on that. But who knows? Who knows? Watching Josh play EverQuest was really interesting. He liked a number of things that were added that we're just not going to have. You know, like essentially glowy trail to stuff with find and things like that. The map and things. But I feel, if they don't like it, then maybe we'll learn something new there. If they do like it, then if you guys haven't seen it before, you'll run into skeletons because they can equip different items, and so every once in a while they'll have like some different stuff on. But yeah, it's possible that they don't like it. It's possible that they actually give us a little bit of love when the time comes, and it's all good. At the end of the day, we're making the game for you, not them. And we're making the game for those of you that are interested in it, and not just sheer volume of players, right? We're not doing it so that hopefully Asmon plays this and all of his people like it and we get 1 million subs from it. Like that's not the goal. Getting subs is awesome, but again, we've got to stay true to what we're doing. So if you haven't seen it before, this was just one of those ones where when I enter the volume, we can also push one of these look notifications. We can push that to you, and we can do that based off of conditions and, do you have a certain item in your possession? Oh, one of the things I wanted to play with today, and now it's getting too late. So I'll play with it off stream, and then we can look at it on Thursday if you guys come back. I'm going to add a condition to the ability See Invis, so that if you have See Invis on, then you'll be able to see something when you look that you wouldn't otherwise be able to see. Right, so right here we've got this. You notice a glimmer from a crack in the floor. Inspect. Crack. This is where John... Oh, really? No? Really? This is usually where John makes a joke about taste. Misperception check? We don't have it in yet, Nicodemus. Well, we're not using it yet. We do have it, but... let me back out and see. That'd be interesting. I know you guys have... I know you guys have, like, found this. Played with it. Okay. Let's look then. Interesting. Was that the other one? I had my HUD turned off, so I don't know. I don't remember when that actually fired off. That may have been in a different area. I don't know. Let's see if I come in here again. Yeah, it may have been in a different area. Inspect Glimmer? Nope. Oh, I'll try it. I don't know. I could be wrong. Inspect. No, I'm just wondering if I had the... Well, we'll look into it. I know for a fact it works because people have been finding the items. Anyway. Back to the... Yeah, I'll get the whole See Invis thing and, uh-oh, torch is out of fuel. Should probably put the keywords in brackets. This is very unintuitive and not worth my very important time. Dargith, I love that you push my buttons. I love that you push my buttons so much. And if I love it when you push my buttons, then that means you hold no power here, Satan. Pushing people's buttons is not nice, man. I'm about to get banned from chat. No. I think Pat has said something about there still being some lighting things that we've got to figure out. Also, I think there's more than one bridge now, so maybe that's where I'm getting it wrong. Anyways, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to zone... God. Simple shit I just can never keep straight. Sometimes the DM just has red herrings to mess with players and everything has to have a secret treasure behind it. It's true. That's a very good point, Nicodemus. As someone that isn't a power player or particularly good at solo challenge type things, I'm just looking forward to hanging out in camps and shooting the bull. Yeah, Everfest. I think that's a very important part of the game. UC Retro said it would be neat if some invisible mobs were invisible. If you were visible if you had C-Invis up. Yep. We've talked about all sorts of vision types that might affect things later in a similar manner. Roll was taken, says Lazy Peon was pretty into Embers Adrift too. That's true. I forgot about that. Yeah, he did a great video on Embers. That was just kind of getting into, I think, a lot of stuff that I was just mentioning as well, right? In terms of just old school vibe and the map not being you know, telling you everything. Yeah, so this is the entrance to the dungeon that you guys were just in. So well framed and revealed, yeah. Yep. Come in and boom. This is what it used to be like, kids. This is what Blizzard stole from us. Aw. I mean, honestly, coming back out of the cave is nice as well. Beautiful sky. How's Embers doing? Does anybody have a good resource on... Like, I just haven't taken the time to, like, try to hit them up and learn about them as a team or anything like that. Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of how many people are playing, do you know? Yeah, I mean, you know, naturally it's in our interest to wish them the best. Is it Ember or Embers? I thought it was Embers. Oh, okay, Ember Adrift. All right. Turnip Gym. If that's what it says on Steam, then that's that. Is it Ember and that's it, or is it Ember? I don't know. There needs to be an Adrift there, or that's not the game. Ember's Adrift. There we go. There we go. Yeah. Perfect. Can't get past the lack of true magic. Single race being only human in every area I saw looking pretty much the same. Lower fantasy is a bit harder move. I respect, you know, I respect the attempt on that front, and you know, it sounds like they want to evolve it over time. I don't know how much that was just the theme. Wasn't it originally based on like some books and stuff? Or a world that was set up, so maybe that was it, but it could be it was also just like a logistics question. It was like, hey, this'll help save us, right? Like making a whole bunch of different player races, a whole bunch of different classes. That's craziness for an indie team. But we're still gonna try it. These are the jail cells that a lot of you will be spending time in when you come into the game. Probably. Oh no, wait. I think, nope, wrong area. Over there are the jail cells that you'll be spending time in. Because of your behavior and attitude, probably. Just guessing. Dadvik, why are you bringing up the website? You know the website, don't you? I have a note on my things to do list. It's in my long-term things to do. I still need to research the player manual as an Amazon print-on-demand book for us initially, and if it works out, then my note is Thadvik gets credit if this turns out to be usable and dope AF. That's in my notes. That's literally in my notes I just looked at. But it has to be dope AF. Alright guys. Time set. 5 a.m. See those jail cells? That's where I'll be putting Dargath when he pushes my buttons. Yes. Dargath will be trapped in a jail cell. Sorry, Swedish keyboard. For life. It's in brackets though. So. Vrumber says, Sean, I have a thing with undead cursed rogues. Is there a way as a rogue that I will be able to fulfill my dream of being an undead rogue? Maybe. Maybe. You might be able to find an artifact at some point that turns you into a cursed creature, a lich-like rogue of a creature. Please have physical copies with maps available. I'm sure your base will be able to afford it. It's on our wish list. If we make the cash, then we'll definitely be getting the maps made. That's the type of thing that you gotta. We probably won't be able to do well print on demand. We may have some versions that are print on demand initially, but then later on some nicer versions that are created in advance, and then boom. And then like boxes with trinkets and stuff like that. Yeah, so if the game does well, you know, then those are the types of goals that we have. Turnip says, Sean, I've only got one request along with my million other requests. Develop this game so it's TLP ready from the start. It's a lot to ask, but we're seeing how important it is beyond niche MMOs. I'm fairly certain that's on Ollie's radar, and I think he's been accounting for it because we've talked about that a fair bit. Yeah, cloth maps with are the goal. Cloth maps are the goal. STL files, so you can 3D print your maps, please. All right, guys, I am going to wrap up crisply at 5 o'clock my time. I will be back. Same time frame, same category. I mean, because why not? This actually did well. Though I do feel bad if there are any people in the software development channel that maybe missed the opportunity to learn about us. But, oh, I didn't get to ask beforehand. I didn't set up a survey or whatever. Let me do a survey. A quick poll really quick. Are you new? Or we'll just assume that. Did you find us via recommendation today? Yes. No. And we'll run the poll for the next 5 minutes. And it's for folks. It's for folks that basically. Oh shit! I framed it wrong. I framed it wrong. Damn it! I framed it wrong. It really should be if you're new here. A bunch of you are like, no, I've always come to watch you guys. Damn it! I'll get the data from Twitch anyway. I'll get the data from Twitch. I made a dumb poll. See, that's the challenge of making polls. Sometimes they don't work as intended. I'm ending the poll. Thank you for your participation, all 18 of you. Poll's ending. You know what I mean. I couldn't restrict it to new people. Alright. Did you win? All of you locals that have been here for a while definitely won. You won. I'll check the data to see. Those of you that haven't done it yet, don't forget. Somewhere in here I thought. Basically, you can follow this channel or this category on Twitch now. And you should join our Discord. Here's our Discord. Join our mailing lists. I'm curious how many of you are there. I thought we were creeping up towards 2,000 on the mailing list. Creeping up to 1,900 in Discord. Nice, Pattis. So that's solid. That's good. $1,900 creeps. No, that's not true. You guys are awesome. All right. So, like I said, I'm wrapping up crisply at 5 today. So let's say our goodbyes. Wow, there's runes. Ever best see you, Keith. Adios. I screw your name. I swear I've screwed it up before. Leonin Gamer. Sorry about that. Goodbye. See you Thursday maybe. Dargath. See you. Gnome Shaped Cookies. See you. Kimmery. Bye-bye. Thadvik. See ya. BDC Retro. Good seeing you. The puppy says goodbye. Chat Solo, goodbye. Olgo. Chus. Nicodemus. See you and I will respond soon. Keebs. Good to see you, buddy. Zombucket. You have a great day. Corthan. You have a good one as well. Beer Chug. See ya, buddy. Wolfden. Take care. Good to see ya. Bitekeeper. Bye-bye. Later, Pattis. Zubay. See ya, dude. Gulu Gulu. Goodbye. Hell's Ridge. See ya Thursday. Dargath. See ya. Vumba. See ya. Mimit. See you. MMO Pug. Take care. Broke MF. Good to meet ya. And see ya. Goodbye to the Mr. Rogers, the game dev. Oh. That's such a nice compliment. Bye, Turnip. You're very welcome for the stream. OG Proof. He is a great doggo. Chaos Flux. Alright, yeah. If you come to Germany, I'll be around. Esan, see you, buddy. Studio Grok. Later. John. Bye. Straight to jail. Citizen DJ with Dargath. Enjoy your camping in P99, Wolfden. Alright. I think that covers pretty much everybody that's going to say it. See you, VGFX. Thanks again for the insight and conversation in Discord. All right, buddy. Let me get to the buttons. Data Science Ninja, you're very welcome. I'll see you Thursday. Oh, I can't reach the button. All right, guys. I will see you on Thursday.